Hello, this is Stephen Fishbach. Rob Sesternino is off hobnobbing with the Glitterati, leaving me here to talk with the dregs. Gavin Whitson, hello, how are you? Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, I'm doing good. Thank you. This is, I think, my second Rob has a podcast in 8 years. So
Wow,
thanks for
big
having me
time.
back.
You've got a lot of
Yeah.
opinions. You're going to come in hot.
That's-
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe I'll try to come in hot.
So for those of you watching, you can see that Gavin is grayscale. He's they don't
Yes.
have color
Live in
anymore, I guess.
Tennessee. We don't have power. This is a candlelight behind me. So
Yeah. All
should have
right.
brought a couple
Well,
more.
honored to have you in any amount of.
And this is our first time virtually meeting face to face. It's usually headset or texting. So this is
Oh, is that true? I guess we've never
Yeah.
actually spoken face to face before. That's crazy.
You always ignore my FaceTimes, and you never see me looking at you through your window. So
Yeah,
this is the first time.
It's a second story window. That's pretty impressive. Is it a ladder you're using?
It is. You sleep so peaceful.
Oh, so this was a great episode. This was a super fun episode. We are
It
here to
was.
talk about episode 11 of Survivor season 38, Edge of Extinction. We brought probably the 16th or 17th best person to talk about that, which is Gavin Whitson, the runner-up on that season, who got a lot more votes than I did,
Yeah.
but a lot less airtime. So it all balances out.
It all balances out. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Steve.
So what was it like? So you texted me that you have not rewatched this episode in 5 years, 6 years. What was it like rewatching it?
It was very cringe, because one, I'm not going to do it, but I feel like every time that I was talking, I was like a super villain, even though it didn't show me talk much, but I was like messing with my mustache.
You were twirling the mustache.
I'd never had a mustache before. And I was like, God, this is amazing. Like, I bet I look so cool. Yes. And I was like, why are you doing that? Like, stop. But I don't know if it was just a tick because I had facial hair, but I haven't watched essentially since the season aired, just because it's still like 7 years later, the wound is still a little fresh,
Is it really?
Yeah. It's one of those things, and it's not, it's just, I wish I had $1 million. That's essentially it. I want to go to Disney more. I want to stay club level, and I can't do that right now. So it's more just me being salty that my bank account is not where I need it to be. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I feel like I've kind of grown as a person outside of me being salty, but just, a lot more busy, have 2 kids. So yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch, but it was fun just going back and seeing like, dang, I still did that, and I'm still very proud of that.
Yeah. And I feel like this really had a lot of highs for you. I mean, you were saying just before the podcast that it was like a double episode when it aired.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because we would watch at this place. We had a watch party, and I was like, this is it for me. Like, I haven't necessarily been shown all season. Can I talk about what happens in the episode? Is that okay? I guess this is a recap.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
These things work.
So, that's the idea.
In this recap, can I recap what happened? So I won immunity. I voted out Ron. Had the family visit, which is like the peak moment for my Survivor experience, and then also like. I recall during this, it was one of those back-to-back episodes. And the next episode, I know everyone who's listening is going to go watch the next episode, obviously. And I win the next reward challenge. So it was like, Joe Anglim, who like Gavin, the challenge beast.
Yeah.
So it was like a super cool thing to see. And then I wasn't shown again. So like, that's why I'll just watch episode 11 over and over for the rest of my life.
You were there in the finale, though. I feel like you were sort of there. Were you there in the finale?
I wasn't. I wasn't there in the finale. I was in Los Angeles pissed. I was like, what is this? Like, I was like crying behind the stage. It wasn't because I was about to lose $1 million. It was like, where am I? No.
Well, my theory is that they had to under-edit you to make it more understandable why Chris Underwood won, because like if they had like edited you to be your like wonderful, hilarious self, like I think there would have been even more of an uproar. And whenever anybody says like who's the funniest Survivor, like I say Rob Sesternino, Rick Devens, but anyone's like anybody else, like come on, just like flesh out the list a little bit.
I'm the dark horse. Yeah. No, but yeah, it does. It stinks, but I definitely think that could have had something to do with it. But also I feel like, I was a 23-year-old kid. I consider myself a kid at that point because I had no life experience. I hadn't really done anything. Survivor was my first like true life experience, getting out of a 3 red light town. So I feel like I was probably more timid and, just one of those things that, I feel like I have grown. But yeah, I wish I could have been shown a little more just for my kids to watch back one day. They're going,
yeah, it's still cool. I mean, you'll still have moments like this, and also like for your kids to be able to see like you and Carly, like just like such a really beautiful moment.
Absolutely.
They're having that like and all thanks to Ron Clark. So
shout out Ron.
Yeah, well, let's get into the episode. So you obviously the subtext of Survivor season 38, which I didn't know, is that you and Rick were like best friends out there.
We were, yeah, and it's crazy. It's just like talking to you now. It's not Steven from Survivor, who I referenced in my casting interviews.
Most handsome ever.
Exactly. I was like, yeah, Fabio. But it was one of those things, and it's the same with Rick. It's like I don't think of you guys as Survivor players. It's just friends, and that's what I think of with Rick now. Is it's not Rick from Survivor season 38, who I was blown away with rewatching this episode. Like, he's amazing. Yeah. It's like, this is Rick that I play Fortnite with. This is the guy that me and Rick quote The Office to each other all the time. And that's probably why we weren't ever shown, is because all we were talking about were copyrighted things. I think that's probably the correct verbiage, but it was just, that's what she said jokes. And hey, I wonder what's in the Fortnite item shop tonight. So that's probably why it didn't show us. But yeah, we really bonded out there, but you would have never known it. So it's just one of those things, but that's my guy.
Did you guys have strategy conversations? Because it looked like you were purely like on opposite sides.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's why it worked so well. And I think that's why we still play Fortnite together today, is because it was pure love. There was no strategy talk. There was no game. Rick knew that whenever the sun went down, Gavin's going to lie to me and he's not going to work with me. And I think that he understood that. And that's what kind of kept that relationship pure, is there was no deception with me and Rick.
But that's kind of wild, because I feel like most Survivor alliances are based on like really deep, like on human friendships, and like the best friends are typically the best allies. So it's kind of like, it's really unique and interesting that you guys were amazing friends, like to the point where like you often, like Rick will often refer to you as like being his best friend. Which is
yeah,
like, I would. But second of all, but like, and like had zero strategic connection.
Yeah. And and sometimes I feel bad about that. But at that point in time, I thought I knew the best route to get to the end. And it was positioning myself with these other people who obviously didn't want to work with Rick. And honestly, I didn't want to work with Rick either, just because you see in the episode how great he is, not only at finding idols and great in challenges, but just how he can captivate the room whenever he talks at tribal council. And I'm sitting over there thinking, like, how do I form a coherent sentence? And Rick is putting on, this Academy Award winning performance. So it's like, this guy, you can't sit with him at Final Tribal. So it was just one of those kind of, I guess, unspoken truths. I knew it, and I think Rick knew it. But yeah, it was one of those things that he's the greatest.
Yeah, I was really, I mean, like I remember watching the season, when it aired, and being really impressed with Rick, like obviously putting on a show, but now being his friend, like I just like was even more impressed, because he's always got a big smile on his face. He's always like, he catches Aurora looking through his bag. He's got like, he's totally at ease with it. He's able to like both shame her, but also like be self-deprecating.
He's like, funny. Yeah, did you guys hear they're looking through everyone's bags? And it's like, no, Rick, they're just looking through yours. And he knew that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he can just put on a performance, and also his attitude during the game. Like, I was miserable and I was always with the numbers. Like, Rick literally had no one. We're sitting there around the campfire. He's like, hey, does anyone want to talk strategy? And it's just crickets. And he just like kind of laughs it off. Like, how do you do that? And, how do you keep beasting out? So I don't know. He's a different breed, and it's just one of those things. Yeah, you have to love him for it.
Yeah. Yeah. He always had a smile on his face, even when things were really going against him. And like, I tried to do that. Like in my head, when I went out to Cambodia, I was like, I'm going to always smile. But I was like, just this, it was just like
smile through the gastrointestinal distress.
Yeah. So, I mean, that gets to like, I kind of wanted to go sequentially, but you sort of are like dancing around this issue of like, Rick. No, in a good way. Yeah. Like just, like Rick always having idols. Now, I remember watching the season, and like everyone was saying, why the F does nobody follow Rick? Like, why do they just like he even says at one point in this episode, I'm going to go look for idols. And everyone's like, okay, see you later. Go have fun. Like, why is nobody following Rick?
Honestly, I can't give you an answer to that. It was just that he wanted it more than everyone else, you know. And there were times like I think it was everyone. It wasn't just me. I know it wasn't just me, but I even like would follow Rick around. But at that point, I couldn't even keep up with him. Like I know there's a montage in some episode where he's legit just like running around the woods like a madman, and I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, bro, chill out. But he wanted it more, and I mean that's honestly that's what got him to the end. So he outworked us, and he would also come up with these stories. He would say that he was getting gifts from the Edge of Extinction. I remember like I was so fired up about that because I didn't necessarily know if there were idols in the game, and they were just all competing for them in the Edge, and then he was getting those. And I remember talking in confessionals about how unfair that is, but it was because Rick was just saying that, I think, to throw us off to not essentially look.
He just made that up. That's crazy. And then like that actually is that's how it worked in 40, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
No, but I mean you say that, but like that's what happened on season 40. Like the people were sending gifts from the Edge, right? I mean, so
yeah, well, that still happened in 38 because I think Aubrey found an advantage and sent it to Rick. It was an extra vote or something. Okay. So like that idea was out there, but I think he definitely leaned into that, and I fell for it hook, line, and sinker.
So the episode starts with Ron giving Devins this sort of like fake idol. Did you know about this at the time?
Honestly, I don't think so. Yeah, I was going to say 8 years ago. I try to forget a lot of things that deal with Ron Clark, but it's one of those things that it was a great play by Ron, but why would he do that after you just lied to Rick again? I think that's what Rick said as well. As it's kind of too good to be true, but definitely made for some fun things in the end.
Yeah. So Rick seemed to obviously suspect that it was not real. So why do you think Ron like gave it to him?
Maybe just to get some heat off his back. I mean, Ron was a threat, and it could have just been this thing to settle the dust. So, Rick kind of eases off of him. I'm not sure what Ron's thought process was on that, but that's what I would assume, is, hey, this isn't good for me. This can buy some more time, or he can fall for it. He doesn't have anything. And then Ron has this huge play to his resume. Like, hey, I gave Rick this, it calmed him down so we could vote him out.
Right.
So
maybe that makes sense. Yeah. Did you, was your perception at the time that Ron truly was running the game?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say that. I think at that point there was 8 people, and I think everyone's perception is reality. And at that point, I thought I knew everything that was going on. I wouldn't say I was running the game. I don't think anyone was running the game. I think it was very democratic at that point. I remember I said something in a previous episode about democracy, and it was me wanting to be a dictator, because I didn't get my way. But I do think that, we talked about things. So I wouldn't necessarily say that anyone outside of Rick was in control of the game, and we were just trying to get that man out at that point in time. Ron was definitely a threat, though.
So then they go to the loved ones visit, and were you aware when they were bringing out the loved ones that they do it sort of in order of how emotional it is? So like as that they get the most emotional, then the second most emotional, and the third most emotional. So you knew, kind of watching everyone else come out, that like yours was the worst.
I would expect that, and I would just due to the situation, because I was crying on day 3 talking about those producers. They can get in your head, and they're like, what do you think Carly's doing right now? And you're talking about the woman that I just married that I left. Yeah, like, thanks for bringing that up. It was just, so like every time they brought someone else out, I could just feel like my chest caving in a little bit more, as like, Jesus, like this is, and then I'm like, how did Carly make it to Los Angeles, without me? Like, did she get on the plane? Did she do all these things? Because we were kids. Like that was a new experience to me, and just for her doing that, it's like all these things were going in my head, while Jeff's talking. Then we have that moment, and it is like, it's amazing, and super thankful. Like that was obviously the best thing about the Survivor experience. But yeah, and it was a little embarrassing watching back at first. Like I'm like walking up to her, like trembling with my hands up, like don't know how to function. But it was raw, and it was real, and it's fun to watch back. So
it was great. You guys had me like, I was like crying with this morning, like watching the whole thing back.
It was cool.
Yeah, you guys, and then also Lauren and Victoria with their dads. Like, of course, now I'm a dad of little girls.
I was
like,
oh my goodness,
that was me.
I can resonate with that more now also. So it
Yeah.
did. Definitely, it was a good episode. It pulled on the heartstrings.
It really was it was really strong. And then you guys have this challenge. I thought you guys were gonna even like I didn't remember who won this reward challenge, from 6 years ago. I thought you guys had it. It looked like you were really in sync.
I think we were close,
Yeah.
but Carly didn't have like the 6 foot wingspan. Lloyd definitely had that advantage.
Oh
But
yeah, that's gotta
we
be huge.
definitely, yeah, absolutely. But we definitely we did our best, and I can just remember like it felt like I'd been shot, and my side was just like I was just on a dead off sprint, going back and forth into the water, and also that iconic challenge from Heroes versus Villains.
Damn it, Reed challenge.
Damn it, Reed. Yeah. And Carly was talking about it. She's like, I can still remember, pulling up and seeing that challenge. And Carly was telling everyone else, she's like, hey, we're going to compete in this challenge. So like, back in 2018, like Survivor was our thing. So like, it is cool that we got to do that.
That's awesome to be able to do something and to get to do it together. Like what a cool memory to
absolutely.
But so even though you didn't win the challenge, you did get taken on a reward. What did you eat?
It was fried chicken, corn, and I think apple pie. That's what Jeff said, and I absolutely remember the fried chicken. It was obviously great, but you know how you've experienced some rewards. Rewards, they have their highs and they have their lows about 4 hours later. So it's just it's that give and take relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that must have been really cool. So did you feel like, were you more grateful to Ron? Like, did that affect your game with him at all? I mean, obviously you ended up
yes, I had to vote him out. It did. And at that point in time, and that could have been one of those things that screwed me because, me and Ron, like we don't have a relationship to this day, and it is what it is, that's just part of it. But, like after that, like I was just so overcome with emotion, and I was like, hey, I'm with you, and I did tell him that. And I'll say that, like, at that point in time, before my brain and heart had a time to cool down, I was like, I'm indebted to you. Like, this is it. Yeah. And then I had that fried chicken and I saw Carly leave and I was like, okay, like my mind has kind of readjusted. Like I'm here for me. I'm not here for you, Ron. But that's the thing that stinks is I do think even though maybe I was a more timid player, more quiet player, I still had these great relationships. And I ultimately think that might've been one of the things that hurt me in the end is we had someone who had great relationships who was sitting on the edge, and I was someone who built great relationships, and then I burned all these people. And I think that's one of those things, but I can't control that.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously the fundamental problem with the edge is like you can just sit there like building up relationships and not have to vote anybody out.
Yeah, I could be best friends with anyone.
Yeah, and do you think that hurt you with? I mean, you said like you guys do not have a good relationship. You think it's because you betrayed him? After the reward specifically.
Yes. After, and I think it was because, I probably said those things. I was like, hey, right. I'm with you. And then, there was just things, like even after the game, I was like, hey, I think that it just kind of tarnished that relationship, unfortunately.
Yeah. Do you think Ron's choice at the family reward was really what radicalized Victoria and Lauren?
I don't think so because they were never in with Ron and
right.
Even
so, like being left behind, even if you don't have friends,
but I mean that's obviously going to make you more salty. And you're like, okay, the line is obviously drawn in the sand, but I think that relationship was never there from the get go. But it definitely, I wasn't put in that situation, but I would be pretty livid also. Like if I had that opportunity and I thought that I should have been picked. But again, I don't think that they had those relationships that would have got them chosen anyways in that spot.
Yeah. Do you, so it looked like, so after that, it looked like they sort of like bonded over feeling left out from what the episode showed. And then they kind of come up with this plan to put Ron's name out there. But ultimately it looked like it was your choice. You had the extra vote. It seemed like we're the swing vote. Like, do you remember, can you like talk us through your thinking about like which way you were going to go?
Yes. So I feel like, and that's the thing is at that point in time and throughout the whole game, I feel like I was always in the middle. I positioned myself to say, this is the right route for me, or this is the right path for me. And I can go this way and it's going to get me further. And that's essentially what I did at that point, because I felt like I was still kind of the middle between Ron, Julie, And then I was also very close with Lauren and Victoria. Me and Aurora, we could kind of work together, but we never really meshed as well. But yeah, it's just one of those things like, who do I need to work with longer, in order to get myself to the end? And that wasn't Ron, because I did see Ron as the bigger threat. And ultimately, in game, I had talked with Lauren a lot about, hey, me, you, and Julie, that needs to be the final three. We had discussed it quite often. I think the big hang up was, would Lauren go against Wentworth in the end? Would she go, vote her out, whatever it is? But I thought that I could make that happen. But yeah, ultimately that's the path that I needed to choose, is I needed these guys buy-in. This was also going to earn Aurora's trust with me, because we really hadn't been on the same page. We still had that relationship, but this is one of those things that kind of solidified that. And that would put me in the majority. And then you've got Rick and Julie on the outside.
That would be great. Do you think you win that final three?
Everyone thinks they're going to win. I think I would have won that final three. That's what I was hoping for, just because I thought I had relationships on both sides. I knew I wouldn't get Kelly's vote, but I was willing to work with War Dog, and at some point, I did work with War Dog. I jumped from my alliance to bring in those guys. So I feel like it's one of those things that I thought I could have had enough relationships and leverage from both that maybe Julie and Lauren didn't have. I think I could have, gathered up enough kind of outliers to take the majority still.
Who are the people who? So I know who voted for you at the end. Rick voted for you. Who
yeah, and that's the thing. It still makes me sick to think about, because I think about how easy it could have been for me to win, because the people that I thought were going to vote for me didn't. So the people that voted for me were Rick. I really didn't know how that was going to go. Lauren, I definitely thought that I had Lauren's vote, because again, me and Lauren were very close. Aurora, that one, again, was a bit of a shock. I wasn't sure how that one was going to go. And then who else? So sorry, I'm talking. Rick, Aurora, Lauren, and Aurora. Did I already say Aurora?
Yeah.
Who was it?
Someone can
hold on.
So you didn't buy them all?
Kelly. It was Kelly.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, Kelly, Lauren. Sorry, Kelly. Kelly, Lauren, Rick, and Aurora. But
that's wild.
Yeah. So, and the people that I thought, who also, or I was hoping was going to vote for me, just due to the relationships that I built, was Eric, absolutely, Victoria, absolutely, and Julia. Like, I was like, if I can get those, like, there's these combinations where it's possible. And then after the game, 4 people come up to me and they tell me, hey, like, I voted for you. And I'm like, well, Victoria, that's got to be a lock. Julia has to be a lock. Like, me and Eric, we were like brothers out there. We were so close.
Yeah.
But still,
there's a whole storyline about you guys.
Yeah. But still, I did betray him, but I thought like that relationship has to be there. He has to understand, like, that's 7. Like, even after the game, even after people told me like, hey, it's not looking good, I was like, I've got 7. Like, that's got to be it. There's 13 on the jury. And then, it comes out, hey, we didn't vote for you. Okay.
That's wild though. I mean, like, that's the challenge, right? Like it is, like, you have to vote people out, and like, and
yeah,
but the theme is not on trial here.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is I was a snake, to an extent, but I think everyone is like, let's be real. It's a game where, it's either you get bit or, you're doing the one biting. I don't know what the analogy is. I'm awful with analogies. Right. That's why it didn't show me talking at tribal council. But it's just one of those things, like, don't knock someone for doing the same thing you would have done if you would have got further. Like, you got to show some grace in that aspect. So, that's, I think, what stinks, is I always feel like I did everything that I needed to do, but I just got punished just because there was this kind of outlier for this season.
Well, I mean, in some ways, I mean, you sort of like can't even be mad about it, because you did, like you said, you did what you had to do. You played the game, you got to the end, and then, like,
Steven, I don't have power. I'm sitting in the dark here. Like, I needed the $1 million. But
so you are from Irwin, Tennessee. Now, the last one of these I did, it was with Coach Wade. He was from Knoxville.
He's Knoxville.
Tennessee. Yeah, you guys, which is pretty close, right?
That's like less than 2 hours away. I used to work for a company that was based out of Knoxville.
So do you think of him sort of as your forerunner on the show?
He's like, yeah, my founding father. Like, if you're my grandfather, then that would probably make him like my
Great
great
grandpa.
uncle.
Yeah, great
Yeah,
uncle. Right.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was always a coach fan. In preseason interviews, they're like, if you could play with one person, who would it be? I'm pretty sure I said coach. Not necessarily that I would want to follow his footsteps, but I would just like to see coach in action.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got a lot of love for coach.
Coach and Rick together is gonna be very fun. What did you think of so Rick, this tribal council, like talk about putting on a show. Like he like plays the one advantage. He's like, oh my gosh, what are my kids gonna think of me? And then he plays the other advantage. Like, what is going through your head here?
I think I'm probably just, crapping myself. I'm not sure what I can and can't say on here. Bleep me, but just like the performance that the man put on and like how you have the brain power to even think this through. Like, are you sitting before we go out to tribal council? And Rick is he just like sitting there thinking like, okay, this is what I'm going to say at this point. Like, you have to have this thought up for right. days for it to be pulled off like so flawlessly. Like, I still like, if I went out there today, I couldn't do what he did, on an empty stomach on day, whatever it was, like just the chops on the guy. It's insane.
I don't even think they go this far in days anymore.
That's why he deserves a leading role in the White Lotus season 4. I mean, just the acting capabilities is amazing.
Very strong. What do you think? What's your prediction for Rick on season 50?
I mean, I'm probably done watching after Rick goes out. That's absolutely like, I'm all in on Rick. If he goes out episode 1, I know he's not, because I know the type of drive that he's got, and I know he's smart. He's a lot smarter than he was in that first, vote out from, he's like 4th, 5th. None of that. Rick's evolved. He knows what he needs to do. He knows what it feels like to play with house money. And this season, he was an alternate. He's already playing with that house money mentality. So I think he's going to go balls to the wall when he needs to, but I think he's in a good spot to at least get to the merge based on all of these other, big names that Rick can kind of fall behind. He's not new era. He's not old era. He's just got to worry about people getting confused with Jonathan, once they're out there shirtless together, being the challenge beast. But yeah, I hope.
Is Jonathan Penner on this season? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he got snubbed at the end, but I think there's still a quick cameo.
But so you play, Fortnite with Rick. Obviously, you guys have excluded me from that for a couple of years now.
Yeah,
but
you would stay up at 7 p.m. We would still play.
Yeah. What is Rick like? This is sort of like the poverty question. What is Rick like in the Fortnite room? When like Natalie asked her, like, what are you like? How is the way you are in the bedroom like relate to your gameplay?
Yeah.
How is the way that Rick is in the Fortnite squad relate to his gameplay?
Rick compared to Fortnite, I think he's still Rick. He's going to do what he wants to do, and he's going to make sure that he's taken care of. And I'm also the same way. We used to steal your purple guns all the time because we've got to make sure that we're ready to fight. And I think that's what Rick's going to do. Is he's definitely going to pick up someone's purple weapon, whenever the time comes, and he's going not weapon. I used to steal your purple gun. Pitch a kid over it.
Yeah.
These people don't know what we're talking about. Yeah. But Rick's going to be aggressive. He's going to stay back when he needs to. Maybe let some of the other people fight. He's not going to third party, but he's going to wait until that person has been eliminated, and then he's going to see who's left and then what he can do with that.
See, my experience of Rick playing Fortnite is very different. I feel like Rick is not the self-interested player that Gavin Whitson definitely is. Rick is the guy who's like flies into the storm to rescue you and like runs out with you on his back, even if it costs you both the game. He's gonna like take that.
He will do that. But see, I don't know Rick that way in Survivor. Rick definitely has that loyalty, and it was due to my own things, but I didn't necessarily get to experience that loyalty to an extent. Rick also, he did play an idol for me, which I was super thankful for. So yeah, you're absolutely right. He's going to give you the shirt off his back, and hopefully he does that so we can see Rick coming out of the water shirtless a couple times.
Jonathan Young or Rick, whoever it is. Well, Gavin, this was a treat. Thank you so much for being here today in in grayscale as you are.
Yes.
next time we can go, you know, the full color spec. Oh my gosh, look at this.
There we go. I think I was just, it was like, that's all it took. I actually, I touched something. It just gave a little extra power.
Oh, the plug.
So wow. Shout out to Escape. Steven, real quick. It is taking me a little longer to read because I'm used to Goosebumps, but it is an amazing book. I'm about halfway through. Just want to say shout out to you. Yeah. So
thank you.
I've only read it on a plane so far. I don't have time here at the house, but
that's crazy fast. That's a long book. I mean, thank you so much, Gavin. That's wild. Thank you for reading that. That's really nice.
Very cool. And I just hope that you'll keep me in mind for a spot, maybe whenever the film or the movie book gets turned into a movie. So absolutely,
yeah. You can,
It is. It's a great book. So anyone who hasn't read it yet, I haven't watched Survivor. Reading this took me back to those behind the scenes things that was super fun to re-experience. So it was like, dang, Steven, you've obviously done it. And it was like a callback. It was super fun and brought back a lot of good memories, so.
And some traumas, but thank you so much.
And some traumas. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. That's really, really kind of you.
Absolutely.
And that's it. Any last words? Where can people find you?
People can find me in Irwin, Tennessee. Look for the house with the lights off. Look for candles in the windows. You can find me on Fortnite at Survivor Gav, and that's about it. So otherwise, you can maybe find me at Disney World.
Yeah. All right. So not online, I guess. But
I'm on Instagram. Yeah. I'm on Instagram. But yeah. So give me a follow.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being here, and this was super fun. And thanks a lot.
Thank you, Steven.
End transmission, Sam. How do we do this? How do we end recording?
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.